right, it's 9 o'clock here on this Thursday night, almost Friday. That means it's time for the live zone prime time. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching on Fox 5 DC's YouTube page or you're watching on Fox Local. Just a reminder, the chat is open. You can join the conversation. Let us know what you're talking about. You can also scan that QR code and let us know what you're up to as well. Of course, you know I can't do this show alone, so I got to bring in my partner in crime live from Italy. Shall I say buongiorno, Tony P. Good evening. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my friend. It is the morning. I'll tell you, I'm living in the future. It is Friday, my friends.
It is Friday. Yeah. What am I doing here?
There we go. Yeah, I'll tell you. You know what? It's
that's what I was trying to do.
There we go. Perfect. Because I can talk about my incredible, this is that second day, sort of first full day here in the motherland here in Italy. And I'll tell you something. This food, there's restaurants on every corner, pasta, pizza, everywhere here in Rome. You can't miss. Every single one of these restaurants is a 4 to 5 star place, and it's pretty relatively decently priced. And I'll tell you, the sauce is just pure. I ate a whole big thing today at lunch of this pasta arrabbiata, and it was fantastic. Rigatoni pasta in there, a little bit of nice. I can't pronounce the Italian bacon, but it was so fantastic. Ate the whole thing, and then I walked out. And my stomach didn't hurt. I wasn't bloated, no gas, none of that. I just felt like I had a nice little
1 minute and 40
salad.
1 minute and 48 seconds is officially how far into the show we made it before we learned about Tony P's bowels and his gas.
Oh, and you don't know. Okay, I was very, very kind with that.
I know that you were, Tony P, but you know I can't let something like that slide.
I love the homeland.
Tony P, how's the weather over there?
It is great. So it is, today was about 55 degrees, 56 was the high. We did some meetings with the Italian government. We took a tour of the Italian Senate and the Italian Chamber of Deputies, the House of Representatives. Every time we walked out of there, it was in the mid-50s. I didn't need my overcoat today. I have just the suit on. And I'll tell you something, the sun was shining this morning and had some palm trees around. It looked like kind of a little bit of a Florida look, I'll tell you. So I'm loving this place every day, just a little bit more.
Not what I was going to expect, to be honest with you. Well,
it's perfect.
All right. Well, enjoy it, because back here at home for the second time this week, we are keeping an eye on the skies because we could see snow showers across the region tomorrow morning. Most of the viewing area already under a winter weather advisory. Some schools already taking action. Stafford and Spotsylvania County have announced that they are canceling school tomorrow. Arlington, Fairfax, Loudoun, and Prince William County schools are on a 2-hour delay. You can find the full list of closures on our website, fox5dc.com. We'll also have it on Fox Local Mobile. If we get any more, we'll tell you here live or have an update coming up at 10 p.m. First, though, for more on what to expect, the timing, the totals, and more, we've got to bring meteorologist Mike Thomas into the conversation.
Yeah, baby.
Mike, right now we're taking a look at Fredericksburg from our Fox 5 Skycam because, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be a little bit more of a southern situation. Is that correct?
Yeah, you got that right. What's going on? Or should I say, buongiorno?
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, Michael.
I watched Bruno once, so I know like 2 Italian.
Okay. Also, is Ciao Bella? Is that a thing, Tony P?
Ciao Bella. And by the way, you don't do this in Italy. You go like this. That's it. One. You just go like this. You don't go like this.
No,
you gotta go.
That's
one.
more of a New York thing. Like, hey, come on, walk in here.
Yes, no. It's basically.
How many stereotypes about Italians can we fit here in the first 5 minutes?
I dated New Yorker. I'm more stereotyping New Yorkers there.
So that is New York Italian American, not Italian at all. It's like a fake movie that's based on a true story. It's kind of what Italian Americanism is at this point to Italy.
Okay.
Well, no, I've always heard from everybody that goes to Italy, food's fantastic, and people know how to dress over there, no doubt about it.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
did you see his hat?
We're getting ready. I mean, well, most people know how to dress over there.
Whoa.
Tony P, you look tremendous.
You do, Tony.
Thank you, sir.
As we look, I'm showing you Earth Cam right now, and any guess where this is?
If I had to guess, based on the 423, 80, and 257 sign, Pittsburgh.
No, that's a wonderful guess, but you were wrong. It's Kentucky. We are in Hayden, Kentucky,
Shucks.
right here. And I pulled this up on the Earth Cam to show you where it's actually just started snowing, because this is probably what's going to start happening in some of our southern zones as we get into the early overnight hours. And I just want to point out, notice roadways wet, right? It's not accumulating on the roadways initially, but you do notice the sidewalks and some of the storefronts there getting a light coating of snow. And this is what I want to point out about this snow that's coming into our region. It is going to be of the lighter variety. It is going to be a dry, flaky snow. It's not going to be that wet, thumping snow that you might be used to after a couple of the systems that went on through. So I'll show you where this is on radar. It's down there in southeastern portions of Kentucky, not too far from where you see the word London there. They just got the snow started. It's going to wrap up there not too long from now. So they're not expecting too much down in that area, but just to kind of give you an idea of what it's going to start to look like here in DC as we head through the overnight hours. Now, a lot of what you see here, what we call virga, it's snowing atmospherically, it's evaporating before it hits the ground. Why? Because entrenched across the eastern edge of the Appalachians here is just a lot of dry air, and it's going to take time for the moisture to overcome the cold, dry air that's moving into town tonight. Don't forget, we're getting cold air reinforced actually this evening, which means tomorrow going to be our coldest day, likely our coldest early December day in 7 years. Same year, 2018, this could be our earliest measurable snow at Reagan National since 2018 as well. So been a while since we've dealt with snow this early. Light snow potential. And look, we're not worried about precip type. That was an issue on Tuesday, right? Is it rain? Is it sleet? Does it snow? Not this time. Air is so cold, air is so dry. It's just going to be a light snow event here in DC. But you see this feature right here, this H. That's what's keeping this low down to the south from turning up the coast. Had this taken a turn, we could be easily talking about a foot of snow here in DC.
Wow.
It's not going to do that, and you can thank this guy for being so close for why that's not going to happen. Another thing you could thank that guy for, keeping temperatures cold tomorrow. Some aren't going to make it out of the 20s tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be bitterly cold, like a mid to late winter day here in Washington, even though officially it's not winter yet. So let's get to the most important thing, timing, and we'll take you through Futurecast here. Looks like a new model just rolled in, and you can see it's getting the snow close to DC at about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So you can see just in time for that morning commute to get underway, we are seeing snow coming down here in Washington. So, you know, try to put yourself in the shoes of a superintendent. They want kids to be safe. I think we're going to see more delays at least roll in around the DC area. They don't talk to us. They hopefully watch us, but they don't talk to us and ask us what we think we should do. But I wouldn't be shocked if some counties closer to DC at least do a delay. And why I think a delay might suffice here around the Washington, D.C. Area is you'll see this is a quick hitting snow. I mean, look, 8, 9 o'clock, dry air coming in on the backside of this system breaks up that snow field real fast. So mid to late morning, it's out of here. It's done. And the snow that falls here in D.C., just like what I showed you, very light, very flaky. Yes, it sticks, but it doesn't hang around all that long. And it does take a while when it's a dry, flaky snow to pile up a little bit. So that model we just looked at for you, putting down about 1.5 inches here in Washington. Usually this model's a little aggressive. Most other locations or most other models I've looked at tonight, putting about 1 inch here in town. And that's mostly on grassy surfaces. Yes, I think pavement, sidewalk, you'll get a coating. But when we talk about 1 inch of snow, that's more on the side streets and out across some of the green spaces around the DC area. Highest amounts, every single model has highest amounts south of town, and even there, it's a general 1 to 3. We're not talking about like major significant snows, but as Chris mentioned, some of those counties that have closed, King George and you said Stafford, right?
Yep, Stafford and Spotsylvania. I think we heard from Culpeper and King George, like you said as well.
And those are all down in this area, right, where snow amounts will be a little bit higher. So that's why they've decided. I know Prince George's, because we announced it on the 6th, did at least announce a delay tomorrow, and that may suffice a little closer to the DC area. Our map looks very similar, coating to 1 inch around and north of Washington. Again, northwest zones, usually you get the most snow out of a snow event. It'll be the opposite this time around, where heaviest bands are closer to the parent low, and that'll be farther south. So southern Maryland, Charles, Calvert, St. Mary's County, down across the northern neck, Culpeper, Fredericksburg, Martinsburg area, 1 to 3 inches of snow wouldn't surprise us at all out of this system. A boom in this scenario would be 4 to 5 inches in some isolated locations, but that would be rather isolated. Again, I don't want folks yelling at us tomorrow because they're like, oh, we thought we'd get a lot more snow. This is not going to be a big snow event. This is going to be a more minor one, and the reason there are likely going to be delays and closures is more based off the timing of everything coming through during the morning commute. So that's the reason we have advisories. National Weather Service, if you remember Carmageddon several years back.
Oh, we remember Carmageddon.
Hard to forget.
Carmageddon.
Right? Folks got stuck. I don't know if Tony P was around for Carmageddon.
No, I don't know what it is.
This was when people spent the night in their cars on I-95.
Yeah.
And
What?
it wasn't a ton of snow.
That was
Oh
so that,
my goodness.
that was back. So there was, when people spent the night in I-95, that was, I want to say 2022 or something
Right.
like that. There was another Carmageddon right before a big blizzard,
Right.
where it wasn't much snow. They didn't issue advisories because it didn't meet the criteria, but it was about an inch of snow. It came during rush hour, and it made the evening commute miserable, and it took folks 8 hours to go like 2 miles. So ever since then, they've implemented this rule, threat of an inch of snow at rush hour. That is why D.C. and Baltimore have advisories. They're not expecting a lot of snow even from National Weather Service. It's just the threat of when the snow could get here that puts that in play. I do want to warn you again, tomorrow, cold. DC, we're going 34, and we might not even make it there. Most locations below freezing. And as we peek at the 7-day forecast, it does kind of rebound quickly. We're back in the 40s Saturday, Sunday. Maybe snow flurries. At one time, they were timed for Monday. I'm looking at some of the new data. I might switch snow flurries over to Sunday. That wouldn't be impactful at all. Maybe late next week, kind of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday time frame. A couple more systems to watch. But right now, a little early to say if those could do anything other than mix out here in Washington. So, all focus on tomorrow. Light snow to start your day. It probably won't hang around too long, but it certainly will slow down things around here in the morning.
So just to go back, because I'm looking at our list on fox5dc.com of the school delays and closures that we have right now, I don't see Prince George. I do see Prince William. William County, I see on a current. We had King George, and we have Prince William. So I'll double check that just to make sure. But I just want to make sure that we're not steering anybody wrong on that one. So
at 6:30, I know my producer got in my ear and said Prince George's County Schools.
All right, I 100% believe you, Mike.
The false hope.
Well, that's what I was afraid of. So I just wanted to make sure. Mike's looking it up right now.
I am. I'm checking the official.
Official.
Well, we are correct. I am correct.
Excellent. All right, that's what I love to hear.
A weatherman always is.
That's
Friday,
right.
December 5th,
Yes.
Code Orange, school and offices will open with a 2-hour delay. Trust your weatherman.
That's why I love this,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
That's why I love this,
Look
man.
at that
Hey, Mike,
intensity.
before you go, I also just want you to acknowledge what you're wearing right now.
Sweatpants.
No, not that. The shirt.
Oh, yeah.
You look good.
We want to advertise that the FIFA World Cup, always on Fox. You can watch the 2022 FIFA World Cup. On,
not the 2022.
Hey, keep these shirts. They give us one of these sometimes when they do popular
yes.
Hey,
events.
what am I getting some
And
of
if
this
I can
swag?
still fit in them
Okay.
after 3 years, I'm happy.
That's a good thing. But
I
of
want a
course,
jacket.
draw day is tomorrow, Tony P, and we're going to talk a whole lot more about that coming up a little later.
Yeah,
but Mike
baby.
Thomas, I
Cannot
appreciate
wait.
you very much. Tony P, any questions for him before he leaves?
Just biggest thing I have is like that near miss basically we had with that pressure down south. Does that tell us anything that we could potentially be having more like larger drops of snow because of that near miss, or is that just kind of a prediction issue?
It's all just part of the pattern, and winter outlook, we released it a month ago. We said December was going to be active. This is an active pattern. Not every storm is going to turn into a nor'easter. I mean, plain and simple. We get a lot more snow here in DC from these little slider events compared to a nor'easter type event. As long as the pattern stays active, I think we're going to have more snow chances before this month is done. So stay tuned.
Ooh.
All right.
Holiday blizzard, maybe.
Well,
Hey, it's been a long time since we've had a white Christmas here in DC.
do not wish that on us, Tony P. In the meantime, speaking of the holidays, though, let's take you out live to the White House now. You can see some of those wreaths in the windows, Tony P. What you can't see right on the other side, though, is a White House tradition that got underway a little earlier this evening. The first family lighting the national Christmas tree. I'm going to take you to a little glimpse of it. Hang on one second. Oh, there's supposed to be sound there, Tony P, but you can imagine the president counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is, and you see the tree light up.
We have our own commentary.
Our own commentary, exactly. I've heard your president impersonation before.
Light this tree. I hereby light it for you, DC. Think about some rhyme patterns there.
That's right. And then we were immediately treated to some Christmas music from whichever military band is on stage with the first family. But obviously one of those White House traditions that people look forward to every single year. Tony P., I know you've had the pleasure, the opportunity to, be down at the White House several times. Have you gotten to go to the White House tree lighting, or have you gotten to tour the White House and see the holiday decorations?
Yes, so I have been to one Christmas tree lighting. I've been to a couple Capitol tree lightings, as well as I've been to the last 3 White House Christmas parties under the Biden administration when the East Wing was still intact. And I have to tell you, it is a magical experience. It's almost like going into grandma's house at its absolute peak, multiply that by about 10. And it just feels warm from, all the trees are in every room of that White House and part of the East Wing, and what used to be the East Wing. You walk right into the main foyer, you see just the red, and it just feels like a home out of Polar Express or something of that nature. It is truly the magic of the season personified. That's the best way that I could put it. And I would suggest anybody, if they have the opportunity to go see that at some point, go and do it, because it is truly an experience. And again, we're in one of these cities, whether it be like New York or Boston, DC, LA, where the Christmas tree lightings matter. And you're not saying that they don't matter in other places, but they're kind of national, right? Mm-hmm. And this particular one is very, very special. We have 2 of them, Capitol Building and the White House. So if you can do it, if you've already done it, do it. Fantastic, because it really just rings in the year, and it gives you a little bit of that push to start your shopping, start that gratitude list, and start really thinking about making this season the best that it can be, because we have those 2 months after the holiday, January, February, they're absolutely miserable for most people. So let's try to get the most amount of happiness we possibly can out of this December month. That's why I started celebrating a month ago, starting November 2nd.
Yep. Okay,
and,
so speaking of which,
you want to get the joy out of it.
Coming up a little later, just a reminder, we're going to talk about the USA Today list of the 50 best Christmas songs definitively ranked and the 10 worst Christmas songs definitively ranked. We're going to weigh in on what we think of those. We'll at least go through the top 10 of the best songs according to USA Today and see how we feel about that. In the meantime, though, if it's live and it's happening now, we bring it to you. So we want to take you out live to El Paso, Texas. This is where another Turning Point event is underway at the University of Texas, El Paso. Tom Homan going to be speaking at this chapter event. We'll let you listen in for a little bit. We're going to take a quick break after that, and then when we come back, Tony P is going to have a look at what he was watching today from overseas, including huge news here in the nation's capital, an arrest in that pipe bombing manhunt that had been going on for nearly 5 years right here in the DMV. We're going to listen into this, then we'll take a quick break. We'll have much more right here on the Live Zone Primetime coming up.
I do want to ask again on behalf of the organization that we maintain ourselves with a sense of discipline, respect, dignity, and integrity. As students, we pride ourselves on a peaceful campus presence and welcoming environment as a student group. We require the same level of diplomacy and appropriate behavior tonight. We must always hold ourselves to a higher standard based on fact, reason, productive conversation, rather than emotional disturbances, insults, and lack of professional courtesy. So we thank you for your cooperation this evening. Now, folks, without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Tom Homan.
How y'all doing? How about those Miners? You got Miners fans in here? Yeah. Hey, look, it's an honor to be here. I've been in El Paso quite a bit, mostly the last 4 years in the last administration. So, look, I'm going to spend a few minutes tonight just setting the record straight. What you read in the media compared to the truth. Okay, first of all, I worked for the greatest president in my lifetime, Donald Trump. And let me tell you why, for those naysayers, let me tell you why. Because as of today, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation because of President Trump. Now, I read enough hit pieces on me, I actually enjoy them because I get tired, and every time I read a hit piece, it just pours gas in my fire. Because here's the facts. You want to compare the Trump administration to the Biden administration. I hear you guys are racist, you're inhumane, your policies are terrible. Okay, well, let's compare the policies. During the Biden administration, 10.5 million people came to our border. Most of them were released in the United States. He overwhelmed the Border Patrol. When you tell the whole world it's okay to enter a country illegally, it's a crime, but don't worry about it. Make a false claim to asylum, don't show up in court, don't worry about it, no one's looking for you. Joe Biden's administration says if you're in the country illegally, no one's looking for you unless you get convicted of a serious crime. Well, that's too late. Get convicted of a serious crime. So what happened when you invite the whole world across the border and overwhelm the Border Patrol? Where on an average day, 70% of agents were pulled off the line to deal with a humanitarian crisis, which are required to do. Now these people are sick when they get here, and they got to deal with processing, transportation. 70% of agents pulled off the line because President Biden opened the border up. Not by accident, not by mismanagement, not by ignorance, by design. When you overwhelm the Border Patrol that much, what happens? When 70% of agents are off the line, what happens? 250,000 Americans die from fentanyl coming across the border.
All right, you've been listening to Tom Homan speaking at a Turning Point USA event in El Paso, Texas on this Thursday night. They have been making those tour stops all across the country at college campuses. Welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Thursday evening. Tony P., another very busy day right here in the nation's capital, weather aside, because we have been following a major breaking story all day long, and I know it's at the top of your list of what you were following today as well.
We absolutely did, and I'll tell you, these stories kept coming in all day. My alerts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon here, and I'm like, wait a minute, everything's coming in the morning. How many headlines are we going to have tonight? But I broke it down the best I could. And we begin in Washington, of course, today, where federal authorities have made a breakthrough in the pipe bomb investigation from January 6, 2021. For the first time in nearly 5 years, agents have arrested a suspect tied to the devices placed outside the DNC and RNC headquarters on that morning of January 6th. The suspect has been identified as Brian Cole Jr., a Virginia man who was charged with use of an explosive device and attempted malicious destruction by means of explosive materials. The bombs were viable at the time and could have detonated, and investigators say digital evidence and financial records were crucial to identifying him after years of uncertainty. The FBI, though, did not disclose a motive at this time. leaving still some unanswered questions about why the devices were planted and what it meant to that day in 2021, nearly 5 years since that day. And I remember that happening when I was in college, and again, it just took so long for this
Tony,
to come to fruition.
And Fox 5 did get a picture of that suspect. We're going to have more on that coming up on Fox 5 News at 10. Sydney Persing following that story for us.
Excellent. Sounds good. I didn't want to go too far on that, as I knew we had that, but thank you for telling me. And then for our second story, now we continue with immigration enforcement. Speaking of that, we just saw the Turning Point USA footage. Under immigration enforcement today, under the Trump administration, new data has been analyzed by the New York Times, and it shows that about 71% of recent ICE arrests have involved people with no criminal record. Nearly half had neither a conviction nor pending charges. The surge coincides with the administration's push for strict daily enforcement quotas and has prompted legal and civil rights concerns over whether the strategy is rooted in public safety or political grandstanding. So again, that debate over who's being arrested by ICE and why, and the tactics being used are still very much at play in the minds of the American people. On the military front today, congressional investigators are seeking answers still after newly released video of a September 2nd strike on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean. The footage shows survivors floating in distress before a second attack killed 11 people. Officials say the operation drew on a Justice Department legal memo that treats unflagged drug vessels as potential combatants. Lawmakers warn on both sides of the aisle that action may conflict with the Pentagon's Law of War manual, and they are now opening up investigations because that prohibits targeting shipwrecked individuals who can no longer defend themselves. Both sides of the aisle coming out against this and wanting to know more from Secretary Hegseth as well as the Defense Department. So pay attention to that as we go into the next couple of weeks. At the Supreme Court today, Texas has secured a major political win. Justices have allowed the state to use this new congressional map for the 2026 elections, a map that could add up to 5 Republican-leaning seats. The ruling reversed the lower court's finding of likely racial discrimination and shifts the redistricting battle into a new phase that will test the limits of partisan map-making and gerrymandering. On the world stage today, French President Emmanuel Macron wrapped up a visit to Beijing, where he urged President Xi Jinping to support a clearer and stronger path towards ending the war in Ukraine. Macron warned that the international order is at risk of disintegration if the conflict continues indefinitely. China said it supports all efforts that contribute to peace, although it did not announce any new commitments. In business, cybersecurity leaders are warning that artificial intelligence is rapidly changing the threat landscape. Nikisha Nora noted that as AI systems grow more advanced and data-heavy, they become more attractive to hackers who also using AI to evolve against cyber threats. He said the companies must shift from traditional perimeter defenses to real-time detection models that learn and adapt as quickly as the threats themselves. And of course, Nikisha Nora is the CEO of Palo Alto Systems, a very major cybersecurity player. So that'll be an interesting playbook as we see the increase in AI personally, as well as from the B2B perspective, to give you a LinkedIn term. Also in business today, retail real estate continues to rebound as discount chains expand into vacant storefronts and reshape shopping centers that struggled during the pandemic. So I'm just going to say, thanks to Gen Z shopping trends, just saying overall, Chris. Analysts say the resurgence reflects changing consumer behavior, with value-focused retailers driving foot traffic and stabilizing many local markets, including indoor and outdoor facilities. Thank you, Gen Z, and changing consumer habits. I'm going to keep on you with this, Chris. Over in entertainment, Michelle Pfeiffer is giving a rare look into her 32-year marriage, saying patience, humor, and shared values have kept it strong all these years. She also said becoming a grandmother has brought an entirely new joy into her life. At the same time, in the entertainment world, critics have released their list of the best television shows of 2025. The New York Times naming standout series such as Severance, Andor, and The Bear for their ambitious storytelling, genre-blending formats, and strong ensemble performances that reflect one of the most creatively rich years in TV memory. Also want to say I started watching the morning show on the flight to Brussels, and I'm going to watch it when I come back for the 10-hour flight from Rome. I cannot wait to start diving into these shows. I am 5 years behind. And finally, a social media trend is sweeping New York, my friends. Passport-style photo booths in Chinatown have become the city's newest viral destination, with visitors dressing up in wigs, jackets, and creative poses to turn simple ID photos into shareable portraits. The images have spread quickly across TikTok and Instagram and have turned a regular routine errand into a full aesthetic moment. Of course, because that's the era that we live in, and every little thing just becomes magical, my friend.
Every little thing becomes magical. Just going back to Michelle Pfeiffer, you mentioned her. She's in a new Christmas movie, Tony P. If you're looking for something to watch on the flight back, it's called Oh What Fun, and it's streaming on Prime Video. So I'll just tell you, my wife watched it tonight. I'll get her review when I get home if she's awake. But just so you know, that's part of the reason that she's out there making headlines right now. And look, I mean, everybody's looking, I think, to save some money right now, not just Gen Z. So I understand why a lot of these more discount stores are experiencing the resurgence that they currently have. So I get it entirely.
It's here. And again, when you look at the overall shopping trends, even with Black Friday shopping, a lot of it is Cyber Monday now or Cyber Friday shopping, right? But younger audiences are looking for value, and they're buying more things for a lesser cost. It means more gifts to open, but that does not exactly mean a larger basket of money. So again, these stores like Dollar Store or TJ Maxx, where there's some really good opportunities to get deals, folks are getting creative, especially with antique goods now and pawn shops as well, which is part of this report. So the shopping landscape is stable, but it's changing in terms of the avenues that shoppers are going down, how creative they're getting.
That's right. All right, Tony P, coming up next, I am so excited for this. All right, so we've talked about the World Cup. You saw Mike Thomas rocking his World Cup fashion. Draw day tomorrow here in D.C. Coming up on the other side of the break, we are going to talk to the former president of U.S. Soccer, the man who oversaw the World Cup the last time it was right here in the United States back in 1994. He is credited with transforming the sport here in the United States. We're going to talk to him all about what to expect tomorrow, how soccer has changed here in the United States, his new book, and much, much more. In the meantime, though, we're going to take you back out to El Paso, Texas, where Tom Homan, the Borders are, still speaking at a Turning Point USA event.
Criminal cartels were ripping each other off. You know, cartels used to rip dope off from each other, right? But there's such a big spike in alien smuggling. They have a load house. One smuggling organization have a load house. They've had 60 or 70 people in there waiting for payment, and they'll send them on their way. Other criminal cartels are doing strong arm robberies, ripping these people off and taking their load house, because there was a lot of money, almost like drugs. So when I got to Phoenix, bodies were piling up. Cartels were shooting each other. They were shooting the alien. If the alien couldn't pay their smuggling fee, they call their relative up, then put them on the cell phone and listen to their brother, their son, or their mother get beaten to death. That happened. That is a fact. One operation, a lady called us and said, they're killing my brother. I can't afford to pay the fees. We agreed to $5,000, and the cartel called, no, now it's 10. You pay it, we'll kill him. And they were killing him. Quite a few were like I say, were beaten to death, tortured. Luckily, this woman was brave enough to give us a cell phone number. And we actually did our law enforcement thing. We located that cell phone, and we found that man in a closet. He was duct taped, his hands and feet behind his neck, behind his back. His entire head was duct taped, and there was a hole poked in the mouth with a straw. That's how he breathed for days. Criminal cartels are animals. Through my years, I've talked to young women as young as 9. I've got on my knees to talk to a 9-year-old little girl. Who was raped multiple times by members of the cartel. That little girl, look into her, I've been a cop a long time. I remember this little girl, when you look in her eyes, there's nothing there. Everything innocent and pure has been stolen from her. Her life will never be the same. So everybody says, why do you get pissed off on TV? Why you get pissed off, member of Congress? Why you take this thing so seriously? Wear my shoes for 34 years, see what I see, and you'd understand why a secure border matters. Secure borders saves lives. Do we arrest? So we talk, I said 64%, so who are the other 36%? Who are they that ICE is arresting? Some are terrorists, national security threats that don't have criminal history because their whole deal is to lay low until they do their dirty deed. Many of them are fugitives, final order cases. They've had their due process at great taxpayer expense. They were ordered removed by a federal judge, and they didn't leave. You're damn right we're looking for them. The message we cannot send to the whole world, cross the border illegally. It's a crime, but don't worry about it. Show up in court or don't show up in court, get order removal, don't worry about it, no one's looking for you. If that's the message we send the whole world, people, the most vulnerable in the world, are still going to put themselves in harm's way, give their life savings to the criminal cartels, and put themselves at risk. You're never going to fix the problem unless there's consequences.
All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime, 9:35 on this Thursday night. You've been listening to Border Czar Tom Homan speaking at a Turning Point USA event in El Paso, Texas. We'll take you back to that in just a little bit. In the meantime, we do want to get to one of the biggest stories happening right now in the Washington, D.C. area, and that is the World Cup draw day. Tomorrow is shaping up to be an epic day here in D.C. and right here on Fox 5 because the FIFA World Cup draw will take place right here in the nation's capital, and you can watch it all right here on Fox 5. It's also going to be a star-studded, you see some of the big names right there. It's also going to be a star-studded global sports crossover affair because in addition to Kevin Hart, Heidi Klum, and Danny Ramirez hosting Super Bowl champion Tom Brady, NHL legend Wayne Gretzky, New York Yankees slugger Aaron Judge, and NBA champion Shaquille O'Neal will all serve as draw assistants. FIFA also announced that former England captain and Manchester United legend Rio Ferdinand will conduct the draw, and two-time Super Bowl champion Eli Manning will serve as the red carpet host. Now, the last time the U.S. hosted a World Cup was back in 1994. The last time the U.S. hosted the draw was right before that in 1993 in Las Vegas, and that's some of the video you're looking at right now. The man who oversaw all of it was then U.S. Soccer President Alan Rothenberg. That World Cup was the most successful in history. Alan also founded Major League Soccer and transformed the sport from an afterthought to a significant force in American sports. Now he's sharing his story in the new memoir, The Big Bounce. You see the cover right there. It's due out next year. First, though, tonight, Alan is joining us live on the prime time from Los Angeles to talk all about tomorrow's draw, his experience, and much, much more. Alan, thank you so much for joining us here on the Live Zone Primetime. We appreciate it.
Pleased to be here.
So, Alan, I'm going to start off. For the viewers who don't know, can you break down a little bit about what will happen tomorrow with Draw Day?
Basically, they're going to decide which clubs are in each group. There's going to be 12 groups of 4, and the draw will designate who's in which group. It's a very complicated process. We don't have enough time for me to explain it, but basically they have a whole bunch of pots with balls in them, and they pull the balls out, and that's what creates the groups.
Now, when looking at the, putting a show together, we'll go, let's take a time travel trip to 1994, 4 years before I was born, Alan. And let me say this. So, like, when you think about putting a show like this together and making it, that's the first thing people are going to see as this process before the FIFA World Cup happens. What are the things that a director or a planner needs to get right to make sure that they bring the viewers in, not only for that night, but keep them throughout the next year and into the World Cup?
Let's go back to 1994.
All right.
The World Cup was brand new to the United States. None of us were absolutely sure that it would be successful. So from the beginning, we made it into a great must-see one-time live event. Americans love that, and so we want to do that. We were doing a lot of things along the way, but the real breakthrough was this time in 1993 when we did the draw. Up until that time, the draw was strictly the technical process that I explained. No entertainment, no pizzazz, and we made it totally different. We had it in Las Vegas. We had a huge gala the night before with great performers. You're too young to know, but James Brown and Smokey
Of course, James Brown. Oh, that's nice.
And then the next day, when we actually did the draw, again, it was just full of entertainment. Instead of some soccer personality, the MC was Robin Williams, and he was absolutely on fire. You had that picture on your screen of him with Blatter. He was cracking the audience up because Sepp Blatter, who was then the General Secretary of FIFA, his name is Blatter. Well, Robin Williams kept calling him Blatter, Bladder.
Of course he did.
And it's kind of did cupping movements. I mean, everybody was just going crazy. So we had a lot of fun with it. At the same time, the night before, and actually for several nights, we had an expo which had never been done before. Partly it was obviously it was all to get the people involved, but we were starting the first plan for a new professional soccer league, which became Major League Soccer. So we invited potential sponsors, media, TV, cities, investors to really showcase it. So we were running kind of a three-ring circus, if you will, doing a lot of things at once. Fortunately, it all worked out great. I think everybody from the entertainment part of it had a great time, and from the business standpoint, it was enormously successful as well. But that set the tone, and you're going to see tomorrow that FIFA has picked up, obviously, on the notion of having super entertainment and a lot of star figures, celebrities, who may or may not be connected with soccer, but big celebrities, to make this, again, a must-see event.
A must-see event that you can see right here on Fox 5. Just got to plug this.
Right.
So Alan, this is one of those times where sports and politics really have to come together. Obviously, the president announced this draw at the Kennedy Center during an Oval Office event. Can you talk to me a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes involving not just the heads of FIFA, not just the heads of sports, not just the heads of entertainment, but literal heads of state across the world?
Well, again, the contrast between 94 and 2026, really, from that standpoint, is a question of the style of the sitting president. We dealt with George H.W. Bush, and Bill Clinton. They both were supportive, but really took a back seat. They didn't really go up front doing anything, did anything we asked them to do, but they weren't playing a prominent role. In this case, Donald Trump has created a World Cup committee with himself in charge. And so he's inserted himself completely into the tournament, which is great. I mean, because obviously if you have the power of the president and his influence and in this case, his ability to attract media, I think it's going to highlight the World Cup even more. So, I know there's a lot of people who have different views about President Trump, but I think nobody would deny the fact that A, he's a big sports fan, so he's really serious about this, and B, he obviously likes to be in front of the media. You have to understand the World Cup is going to be viewed by billions of people, and so the president inserting himself into it is going to be making it even a bigger event.
And when we look at the process of getting soccer into the United States and really making it it's becoming a mainstay for a lot of athletes, not just to the pro level, but we're seeing a ton of development in the youth and high school level. As someone who's on the forefront of this for years, what do you think was the secret or the conditions that made it possible for soccer to land here in the United States and start to grow from the 90s on into today?
The World Cup obviously really opened up everybody's eyes. Youth soccer was growing pretty steadily, really going back to the mid-'70s when the New York Cosmos and others in the NASL were prevailing. And so now you had a generation of people who grew up with the sport. I mean, I didn't grow up with the sport. I'm from the Midwest, Detroit. It was football, baseball, hockey, and basketball. And I knew there was some sport called soccer that was played overseas. Now every kid has grown up with it, and the involvement is pervasive. What I like to say how far we've come, in 1990, the Soccer Federation had its office in a trailer on the U.S. Olympic Committee land. Now they are about to move in to a $50 million training center in Atlanta, offices in multiple fields. So that's one measurement. The other measurement I give as far as how we come, in 1990, believe it or not, there was no English language television of the World Cup. 94 was the first time we were able to accomplish that. So going from zero, this past spring, on the same Saturday, there was a CONCACAF championship, a European championship, every Major League Soccer match, every National Women's Soccer League match was on television in the same day. It was just a total overload. So we come from zero to that. So it's just grown up. And look, people your age, when we first started with it, the media people had grown up without soccer. So they were biased in favor of football and baseball and basketball and hockey. Your generation has grown up with the sport. You've played it, you've watched it. And so now the media is totally involved with the sport. And so it's a generational, huge leap forward.
Alan, my wife played D1 soccer at Syracuse University, so I married into a soccer family. I'm learning as I go. But listen, can you talk to us a little bit about your memoir, The Big Bounce, due out in February, available for pre-order now? But tell me a little bit about the book and kind of what you touch on in that too.
Really start to finish. I even go back to my original introduction to the sport way back in 1967. And then I was the chairman of a group that owned a team in the North American Soccer League in 1975. But the first big thing was the Olympics in 1984, where soccer outdrew track and field for the first and maybe only time. And that was what opened FIFA's eyes to the potential for a successful World Cup in the United States. And so they granted it to me. And so I go through the whole building up of the Soccer Federation, creating the team that would be competitive, the 94 World Cup itself, including the draw and the other events, the starting of Major League Soccer, and then the 1999 Women's World Cup, which really put women's soccer on the map. It's mostly soccer, but it also it weaves in what else I was doing in my life. I mean, I got my start in sports, actually being heavily involved as a lawyer for the Los Angeles Lakers. So among other things, I was part of the negotiation of the trade that brought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to the Lakers.
Not too shabby.
I was part of the trade that got the draft choice that ended up being Magic Johnson. So,
wow.
So, there's a lot of stuff going on that was not just soccer. I think it's a good read. I mean, obviously people aren't going to say anything negative when I show it to them, but I've showed it to a lot of friends just to get their input, and they kind of like it. It's a good story. It's not just day by day, game by game. It's stories behind the scenes involving President Bush, involving President Clinton, involving other celebrities and political figures. So it's not the stuff that you would read in the daily newspaper or on your daily TV broadcast. It's stuff that happened behind the scenes. So it was fun doing it. I think people will enjoy reading it. And you know, if I never sell a book, it doesn't matter. I enjoy doing it.
Well, we
I love it.
enjoyed
And-
having
yeah.
you join us here and hear your stories about it. Tony, I'll let you get the last thing.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and as you write a book like this and you go through an incredible career like this, what is the one or two memories that really stick out to you that have been in your head for a long, long time? And what are the lessons that you think you can bring to others through your life experience of bringing a sport to market in a place like the United States?
Well, in the broader sense, I think it's seizing an opportunity. When the offer was made to me by FIFA to run the World Cup, I said, yeah, why not? It's a great event. I'll have fun doing it. You know, even how I got in sports in the first place. I was a practicing lawyer, had the opportunity to go to work for Jack Kent Cooke, who, of course, you guys know from
Yeah,
when he owned the
right here,
Redskins.
Washington Redskins.
Right.
Yeah. And but he had a reputation of being a very difficult boss. And I had to, you know, decide, do I leave the law practice and go to work for somebody who maybe fires me in 2 years, or do I stick with the law practice? And I decided that if I don't accept something, because I was a huge sports fan, if I don't accept this opportunity, I'll probably look over my shoulder for the rest of my life saying, what if?
Yep.
And so it's, okay, it's an opportunity, seize the opportunity. And I didn't have any really game plan. I didn't even know I was supposed to create a pro league when I got the presidency of U.S. Soccer. And I did it only because of the World Cup. I didn't realize, I hadn't done my due diligence. So I didn't realize that we had to come from nowhere and building a team, professionalizing this U.S. Soccer Federation, and then create a pro league. It just was stuff that had to happen. And when I found out that we were supposed to be trying to start a pro league, I assumed that if we had a successful World Cup, a lot of sports entrepreneurs would jump up and create a league. And there was no movement in that regard. And so FIFA got all over me and said, well, put the plan together. And so we did. And we went out and recruited the investors. It wasn't the investors stepping up and saying it's a great league. Now what do we do? So you know, when you ask what's the big moment, you know, it was such a great run. I've enjoyed every part of my life, and obviously during everything we did in the 90s, kind of was the cherry on the frosting on the cake. Yeah, I can't point out one specific thing. I mean, I guess if I had to, it'd have to be the World Cup, because it's just bigger than anything else that was sports in the world. But it was really the aggregation of all that.
So I absolutely love that answer. And again, you brought it here, and just through sheer determination and, you know, embracing the uncertainty. I think it's a big thing my generation struggles with, and you're illuminating that for us.
All right. Alan Rothenberg, former president of U.S. Soccer, author of The Big Bounce. You can get your copy available for pre-order on Amazon now, due out February 10th, 2026. Thank you so much for spending some time here with us on the Live Zone Primetime, making a little sense for those of us who are still learning the game and what to look forward to tomorrow as Draw Day comes to Washington, D.C. Just a reminder, we've been teasing that it will we will have complete coverage right here on Fox 5 tomorrow, 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. We will have complete preview with Chad Ricardo, Julie Donaldson, and more. Fox Network coverage begins at 11:30, and then the draw begins at noon. You can catch it all right here on Fox 5. Tony, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll touch on the Christmas music a little bit, but we might have to save that for tomorrow, because we spent a lot longer talking about soccer than I thought we were going to, and I loved every second of it.
So did I, brother.
Right
Hey,
back.
I could have gone on forever. So.
That's what I love to hear.
Not to say that that's all ICE agents.
Did you say beating down?
I did see one video. I don't know if it was just ICE or some other law enforcement agency, but there was one video coming from Houston when a 16-year-old boy was on the ground and some law enforcement agency was just beating him into the ground. And I think that's wrong, and I just wanted to ask.
Look, if police officers stepping out of line, not following policy, they need to be dealt with. I don't support anybody being beaten. You know, if they're resisting arrest, there's a certain amount of control. You got to just make that arrest. Well, if you're truly saying that the defensive guy's laying down, are you being beaten? That's not right. Send me the video.
How do you hold ICE agents accountable?
Pardon me?
How do you hold ICE agents accountable?
I didn't.
How do you hold ICE agents accountable?
I can tell you, you know, we have a very strong office of personal responsibility. One of the things I did as ICE director, I fired 7 people. Again, don't enjoy, you know, sending someone home with no job to wait for kids, but I've done it.
Stop lying.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime. We have been watching
Look, if anybody,
this Turning Point USA event with Tom Holman, the Borders are. Sounds like things getting a little heated, Tony P.
Yes, I mean, again, so they were talking about the behavior of immigration agents and ICE officials during these arrests that are happening, as we've seen, you know, a lot of media report and show to us that there have been some pretty violent interactions between ICE officials as well as, immigrants, whether they be undocumented or folks that are citizens that were mistakenly detained. And so that was a very important issue brought up by the person that was having the discussion with Tom Holman, was pressing him on it in a very civil way. And then just recently we saw that the shout from someone in the crowd. They didn't exactly identify where that person was, but they said that Tom Holman was a liar for saying that he has fired people in the past for promoting behaviors such as beating up immigration detainees or undocumented immigrants generally during the commission of an ICE-related arrest. So, again, things are getting a little bit heated, but before that shout from the crowd, it was mainly just a kind of a solid back and forth between the student there and Tom Holman talking about, again, ICE agents' behavior, which we have seen on TV, where agents have crashed into cars, have then detained U.S. citizens and have pushed people at ICE facilities, and immigration courts have acted very roughly and have conducted this with masks on and not clearly identifying themselves. So those things are being talked about, and it's very much a discussion around this whole freedom concept when it comes to people's rights to due process and right to dignity and the masked up agents. A lot of fear of that is not only happening in more democratic circles, but in more of the podcast world. Joe Rogan's, Tim Dillon's of the world, the more manosphere is talking about these types of things as well when it comes to ICE's behavior in a lot of these immigration raids, because there's 2 pieces to this discussion. One being the border being shut down and immigration control, and then the enforcement part, who's being detained, who's being approached, and how that's being done. So it's nice to see that all of those things are coming up in this debate or Q&A answer session tonight.
Mm-hmm. And the first thing we heard when we went to this live, before Tom had even taken the podium, was please keep it civil, please keep it respectful. And so far, despite differences of opinions, that looks to be the case. Tony, we're down to our final minute, so we're going to hold off on our Christmas music ranking. We're going to save this for tomorrow because that seems like a good way to end the week on a Friday, I think. But what I can tell you is coming up on Fox 5 News at 10, Sydney Persing will have the very latest on that story we've been following all day, the arrest of a suspect related to those pipe bombs planted outside the RNC and DNC the night before the January 6th protest back in 2021. She'll have what we know about the suspect so far. And then Shamari Stone is at a water main break at the Woodley Park Metro stop along the Red Line that flooded the station. It has been shut down for most of the evening. They are running shuttles around it. He'll have the latest and any possible impact on the morning commute. And of course, Mike Thomas will have all the latest on that snow on the way tomorrow morning that could have major impacts on schools. Tony P., enjoy the rest of your morning. We're going to take you back to that Turning Point USA event. Have a great night.
that's there, regardless of not the target operation, they get detained and questioned too, to make sure we know who they are. So I get your point, but I'll say it again. If there's an ICE agent acting outside of policy, then he needs to be held accountable. So people need to call in with your complaints. I mean, I'm hoping